book and a bev.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of your most favourite podcast in the entire universe. You're so welcome.
So welcome.
A book and a bev. That's who we are. Actually, no, it's not who we are. Well, it is who we are deep down inside. But if you want our individual names, just for reference, my name is Georgia. This is Bryony, and that's Ellie.
Hi.
And that's the book that we're covering right now, The Kingdom of Ash. This is part 3. You would think we would be done this episode, but you would be wrong.
Have you met us?
Wrong. What are we all drinking?
Well, I had, I think I might, I'm doing an Ellie. Do you remember a couple episodes where Ellie was like, she needs to chill, she needs to be on the waters for a bit because we're not about that one mum life. Like, I'm not a mum, but I do get really bad reflux and heartburn from dietary issues.
You're like a small child. I'm not a mum. I'm the tiny colicky baby who gets reflux.
Yeah, I need to be burped and swaddled. So yeah, so saying that, I am drinking coffee.
Oh God.
So it's not the best, but it's not alcoholic because alcohol is setting me off at the moment.
Well, I'm on your wavelength because we have a book and a bevmas coming up this week. So
A book in a bevness.
I'm so excited. So I'm on a Coke, not the powdered form, just the liquid. Tonight.
Well, I also am looking after my mental health this week. But I'm actually drinking Jack and Coke.
That's how we look after it.
George is like, I see my mental health, I acknowledge its existence, but I choose violence today.
Oh, that's so much.
And it's a really strong Jack and Coke. Alright, where did we leave off?
We are picking back up at chapter 62. Aelin has just saved the army from the tsunami.
Oh my God, that's right.
Rowan was like, get the fuck down, because she's gonna blow. And Aelin was like, fuck you all, but to the water.
Yes.
So we start off from Aiden absolutely ripping a big one for that wave and stopping it all.
I really thought you said Aiden. No,
Me too.
just ripping a big one.
Aiden,
going around.
Aiden.
It's
Hayden.
Georgia just manifesting dating Aelin. It's like she looks at her boyfriend and she's like, Aelin.
Don't speak. In fact, grow your hair out.
Yeah, here's a wig. Just
Put it on.
Anyway, the Crocans and Manon are flying forth. Where their allegiances lie, we do not know. Well, we presume it's with the Queen of the Crocans.
Yeah, she's got the crown now, so I thought we were
I know. I was like, oh my God.
They're going to the outer reaches of the Fangs for now. Dorian and Manon have a little chitty chat in one tent. She admits finally that she doesn't want him to go, that she wants him to make an alliance with her, basically, with her vagina.
Yeah.
So she wants them to marry, but Dorian knows that she doesn't really want that. She's never wanted to be married. She's, this strong, independent
She's
woman.
not about that commitment life.
She's not, no. So Dorian's like, hold that thought, let me see those titties. We get this His mouth went dry at the beauty that threatened to undo him, the temptation that his very instinct roared to claim. Not the body, but what she had offered. He almost said yes then, was almost selfish enough, greedy enough for her, that he nearly said yes. Yes, he would take her as his queen, so he might never have to say farewell to this, so that this magnificent, fierce witch might remain by his side for all his days.
Look, I don't blame him.
No, I would have been like, bitch, absolutely. You can take all of me, you can gobble me up and spit me out. I would say thank you.
So then they fuck hard and rough. It's like she thinks he's saying yes, he's actually saying goodbye in the thrusting. And the quote we get is, every thrust into her, Manon answered with a rolling, demanding movement of her own. Stay. The word echoed in each breath. Dorian took one of her legs and hefted it higher, angling him closer. He groaned at the perfection of it, and Manon swallowed the sound with a kiss of her own, a hand clamping on his backside to propel him harder, faster.
Wow.
I fucking love it. I love it. Get in there, lift that leg up around the side of your head, and then
now we
the
move
backside
into salutation to the sun, and
we go downward facing
Downward
into
dog.
Cobra.
get back in there, Dorian.
Don't you pull out.
Absolutely not. So yeah, it's really intense. And I love that for them. And then they cuddle and fall asleep. But when Manon wakes up, Dorian and the word keys are gone. And she's like, whoa.
Dorian's like,
that shit in bed.
Dorian's like, I've just gone to get some milk from the shops. I'll be right back.
And he never comes back. Yeah, look, this is what I'm talking about. Fucking gaslighting. She's like, I'm prepared to offer you my life. We can just be fuck buddies forever and I'll just be your queen. Like, you can live in your castle and I'll live in mine and we'll just, like, meet up on the weekends and have fuck festivals. He's like, that sounds amazing.
Festivals, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first.
Yeah, it's a fuck
All
festival.
the unborn fetuses are just like, woo! No, Ellie. No.
Yes, he's a gaslighting prick. He is like, I will not communicate with you that what you have just told me is beautiful and I love it for you and for us, but I think
I love
you need
it
some
for you,
time
but commitment is not for me.
I'm still traumatized by the headless hoe. You need some time to explore yourself now that you're a queen. Like, delve into your power. Be your own woman. Go see Oprah. I need some time for me and then we can just rekindle. No, he's like, I'm gonna fuck you until the sun comes up in all different types of ways and positions until we're like physically as close as can be, and then I'm just gonna leave.
The whole thing before, though, it was the fact that, you know, she doesn't like emotions and he was too emotional. You know, previously he was too emotional.
He was. And now he's a cunt. Now he's just a cunt. He's just a typical man. A typical man. You ask him to do one thing and he takes it like 10 times too far or not at all.
I think that he knew, like, she knew too, that she did not, that's not what she wanted to do, but she just was making up any excuse so that he wouldn't risk his life. But she would do the same thing.
All I'm saying is he just needed to say thank you, but no
thank you.
But no thank you, but I will fuck you. That's it.
What about
That's
a goodbye fuck?
What about fuck? Yeah. Or he could have left a note even.
A quick finger blast. Yeah, he could have handled it differently, but he is just a man.
He's just a tiny weak man.
Tiny weak man.
We're back with Adian. And also, speaking of men that make very, very questionable decisions, Adian. Here we are. He's been stripped of his title, but people are still listening to him because they're like little sheep looking for their master, and that's him. Bridie looks up with confusion.
She's like, why the sheep?
Okay, so he tells Ren to go call for aid because he knows that they are up Schitt's Creek without a paddle.
Up Schitt's Creek without a paddle. Phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
The Valg are coming and they're trapped. They're not in great stand. And then Morath approach and they send out a volley of arrows. And instead of the arrows just like landing in the snow, there are human heads attached. And Georgia is inappropriately laughing at this time, which does not surprise anyone.
It's because I picture, when you say volley, I think of volleyball. So I'm like, someone's actually just trying to...
Just done like a bit of a...
spike.
What's it called?
A spike spikes those heads back towards them.
Okay, so yeah, human heads. It turns out that they're the heads of Ansel's army. Just when Morath are about to collide with their army, we see fire. This Bella's on fire. Is it Aelin? No. It's Rolf. Hi, Rolf. And he is there with his fire lances that Kael and Aelin had ordered. Because remember, Kael did like one good thing in Tower of Dawn other than fuck Irene, and that was ordering these weapons. So, snaps for Kael.
Yeah, snaps for Kael.
Rolf, right. The Valg freak out and they run away because they are scared of fire. Like tiny little mosquitoes. They're like, no. They retreat and everyone else runs to the boats to get away while the Vag are on the run, which... fair enough. Smart choices. When they do finally get to the shoreline, Lysandra shifts out of her leopard form. And essentially, Adian's like, oh my god, Lysandra, hello. And she's just butt-ass naked on this boat. And Rolf, he was like, oh, hi, former leopard, now woman. Here, have my cloak. Like a gentleman. A fucking gentleman. Other than Adian, just like, oh my god, tits.
I also love, like, throughout the book as well, Ren is kind of crushing on Lysandra.
Yeah.
He's like, look at this generous woman who has done so much for her kingdom. And so he's like, oh, generous titties.
Yeah, everyone's just got tits. But you know what? Even Rolf didn't want her to be a tiny snow horse. So, snaps to Rolf.
Snap to roll!
Fuck's sake.
Yes. So they tell their soldiers to march to Orinth, and Adian and the gang are sailing.
Everyone is heading to Orinth. Irene sees Cashew Nut's army arrive and realised that they all came very close to dying today. That's a really nice thought to have. So that's good. Lorcan wakes up. He almost did die, so that's good. Fenris chose to look after him, though. But, Lorcan's drifting off back to sleep, and when he wakes up, Elides has taken over watch. We get this moment. So Lorcan said softly, "I meant every word." His heart thundered so wildly it was a wonder she couldn't hear it. "And I will until the day I fade into the afterworld." Lorcan didn't breathe as Elides gently reached out her hand and interlaced their fingers. "I love you," she whispered. He was glad he was lying down. The words would have knocked him to his knees. Even now, he was half inclined to bow before her, the true owner of his ancient wicked heart. It goes on. "I have loved you," she went on, "from the moment you came to fight for me against Vernon and the Ilkin." The light in her eyes stole his breath, "and when I heard you were somewhere on that battlefield, the only thing I wanted was to be able to tell you that. It was the only thing that mattered." Once, he might have scoffed, declared that far bigger things mattered in this war, especially, and yet, the hand grasping his, he'd never known anything more precious.
Wasn't it only 2 books ago where he was like, I might sometimes not like spending time with you, maybe. Don't mind it sometimes.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, okay,
It was just mere moments ago. But those mere moments have turned into precious, precious little hands. He actually is just imagining those little tiny hands.
His giant penis.
Giant cock.
He's like, this is going to make me feel like such a man.
Small hands would look around his horse cock.
He's been strategic with his lover. He's like, I need a tiny, tiny, tiny human
to make my ego feel so good.
Speaking of them making each other feel good, they want to fuck. But obviously, he has just had a severe spinal injury, so they're not really physically in their best vibes for it. So Elides goes somewhere else while he sleeps because he needs to have a nap. Lorcan sends a flicker of his power out to wrap around her ankle, so she's got that brace again, and she gave him a small, grateful nod. I missed that. He heard the unspoken words as she disappeared into the busy hall. I missed you. Lorcan allowed himself a rare smile.
Oh my god, the bare fucking minimum. When you're fighting, you can be a crippled. But when there's a little bit of snacks in the air that I'm sniffing, I will heal you. I just feel like I will heal you and help you when it is convenient to me and my goals. But otherwise, go fuck yourself and your ankle. I actually quite like the limp.
It makes me feel more manly. Keep it.
With you and your tiny little hands. Okay.
Tiny little hands and your fucked up ankle.
Oh my god.
Trust us to make a nice romantic moment just fucked.
Oh no.
Now we're with Manon. She's sad because Dorian gaslighted the shit out of her. It's okay. We move on because Terrason is calling for aid and they ask Manon what to do and she's like, we shall fly to Terrason for aid because that's what the plot line is and that is what we've been asked to do. So let's ride.
They've asked us to go, so that's what we'll fucking do.
Yeah, she's like,
to write it in the fucking stone for you? Write it in the fucking stars? No!
She's like, actually, I think I just might dig a really big hole today.
Yeah,
that's
like,
my goal.
What we're going to do, we're going to get on our wyverns. I'm going to go for a nice fly around the Ferry Gap, and then we might sit down, have some brunch. I don't know, I'm going to grovel a little bit, feel sorry for myself because my boyfriend just left me. And then maybe I'll wank, I don't know.
See where the day takes us.
Yeah, she's got a full itinerary planned, and none of it involves going to help.
Look, she's like, nah, we're not doing any of that, you fucktards. We are flying to Terrason because they have called for aid. I am your queen. All of the hearths, all of the segments of Coven agree. And Manon lights the giant war flame, and now they will all fly to the battlefields of Terrason.
Yeah.
We do have a quote. Mile after mile across the darkening world, the call went out, ceaseless and unending as the eternal flame that passed from hearth to hearth. Fly, 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 they shouted, to the queen, to war. Far and wide wide, through snow and storm and peril, the Crocans flew. And for some reason, all I picture is that end scene in The Wizard of Oz with all the flying monkeys and the witches. And they're all just like on their brooms like, fly!
Ellie's just like, okay, positive witch army. You know what? Flying monkeys.
That's
Team
terrifying.
fucked me up.
Aelin tells Rowan that she had written letters to everyone trying to start a revolt against Maeve, so in Dorinel. She even put that Maeve might be vulgar. She might be absolutely disgusted.
Disgusting. Who didn't flush? It was Maeve. Maeve did not flush.
It was Maeve.
Yeah.
Dirty, dirty slut.
Fucking slut.
She's a naughty girl with a bad habit for not flushing.
For not flushing, for bringing darkness to the world and destroying everything.
For giant fuck-off spiders.
For giant fuck-off spiders.
Anyway, so yes, that's what Aelin has done. She was right. Maeve was, in fact, a giant vagina. So,
She's a giant cunt. Funny.
Yeah. Well, it is true. Aelin is just going through a whole fucking time at this point, and she is essentially basically like ready to give it all up. She's ready to just yeet.
Yeah.
We get this quote. She didn't bother arguing, not as she admitted, I want it to be over. He went wholly still, but granted her the space to think, to speak. I want it to be over and done with, she said hoarsely. This war, the gods, and the word gate, and the lock, all of it. She rubbed her temples, pushing past the weight, the lingering stain that no fire might cleanse. I want to go to Terrasen, to fight, and then I want it to be over. She wanted it to be over since she'd learned the true cost of forging the lock anew. Had wanted it to be over with each of Cairns, the city of Queensland, lashes on the beach in Ilway, and all he'd done to her afterward, whatever it might bring about, however it might end, she wanted it to be over. She didn't know who and what it made her. And not old gravy, baby.
No,
And I mean,
but also, that's also how I feel at the end of a long week, though. I want it to be, I just want to go to sleep. I want to be put into an induced coma for 3 years.
absolutely. God, that would be good. We're rereading this book. I remembered again, and it's something that you don't really forget, but anyways, I really, really love how Sarah J. Maas always writes about mental health. Just the way, and even with Kale and his whole arc, the way that she describes mental health and the metaphors that she makes, like with the Valg feeding off the negativity and things like that, I always just really, really appreciate the way she goes about it.
Yeah.
Really hits home.
Yeah.
And it's so much more realistic when... Remember how I said last week, like, I don't have time for your trauma, I just need you to heal so we can, like, enjoy the rest of the book? That's not real.
Yeah.
Thanks for not listening to me, Sarah. It does well, okay?
Speaking of actually bouncing, we're going to bounce from that sad moment to this happy moment where Aelin loops her arm through Rowan's and she, like, they're walking somewhere else. And Aelin's like, I'm going to start a rumour about you then. Something truly grotesque. Rowan groans and says, I dread the thought of what you might come up with. She adopted a harsh whisper as they passed a group of human soldiers. You flew back onto the battlefield to peck out the eyes of our enemies? Echoed off the rock. And ate those eyes? One of the soldiers tripped, the others whipping their heads to them. Rowan pinched her shoulder. Thank you for that.
I love it.
Amazing. He could pick out my eyes any day he wanted to.
Basically, Sartak confirms that after Aelin stopping the tsunami, they were quite impressed and they will in fact go to Terrasen to, you know, defeat the evil empire. Sick.
Oh, good.
Aelin and the gang then get a demo from Irene about how she removes the Valg, and Aelin is like, interesting.
Yeah, fully sick, bro.
Fully sick. Well, they're not actually, that's the thing, they're no longer fully sick. They were, they're now
Oh, now they're not. They're healed.
Yeah.
So Rowan and Aelin are now thinking about whether or not they can risk Irene trying to heal Erewhon or Maeve. They know it's not their choice to make, and Rowan wouldn't let Aelin do it if the positions were swapped, and it's like, sweet. But again, bare fucking minimum. Literal bare fucking minimum.
Bare min.
Thank you for your consideration of choosing not to place your pregnant mate in the direct line of fire from some evil cunts. Snaps to you, Rowan. Snaps to you.
Look, Ryan's already got his issues around a pregnant mate doing anything.
Oh, shit, I forgot about that. That's a big
He does. Yeah.
But I'm also like, look, this is an opportunity. And if I'm picking Aelin or Irene...
Oh, we all know who we're picking. Fuck that fetus off. It can be fried like some chicken for all I care. Save Aelin.
My Ronnie's face at the same time was like,
we're gonna move on. They end up searching through the wordmark books that Irene and Kale had brought with them to try and find a way to help, which seems pointless, but we'll get there. Kale goes to visit his daddy, and his daddy is a cunt.
Shocking
He doesn't want him.
events.
Oh my god, I know. He doesn't want him to give any land to the wild men of the Fangs, but it's too late because Kale, for the first time in this series, has used his initiative, and he's like, you know what? We're going to listen to you, Dad. But then guess what Daddy Cunt does? He pulls a notebook and he's like, check out these bad boys. These are all the letters that your mother sent to you that I never let you receive.
I'm like, literally could not care fucking less.
No.
Could not give one single fuck about his mum. His mummy issues. No.
She's not an actual character. We never meet her.
She's emotional. No.
She's off with Darian's mum just having her nails done for this. We don't know where she is. And it's fine because Kale looks at the trunk of letters and he's like, you know what?
No.
Fuck you. I don't make bargains with bastards and I'm certainly not going to start with you. And it's like all snaps for Kale. You
Snaps.
Hey.
What are we?
I don't know what's happened. We're white, yeah.
Like, half the army start the walk through the Fang Mountains, Aelin and Kale leading the pack like two wolves. I don't know. Aelin unleashes a flicker of her power and turns into a living flame, which is so fucking hot. Literally, She let the flame encompass her, a golden glow that she knew could be spied even from the farthest lines of the army, from the city and keep they left behind. A beacon glowing bright in the shadows of the mountains, in the shadows of the forces that awaited them. Aelin lit the way north. I love it. Oh, I love it.
And then we're into part 2 of Kingdom of Ash. Shocking.
God.
We hit chapter 68 on the ground running, and Dorian is heading to Morath and decides to hide the keys in an outcropping just a bit outside the keep. You know, like when you put your spare house key under a rock in your front yard? That's what he's just done.
It feels like not a great idea.
He's like, this is a fucking stellar idea.
It's just such a man's way of thinking.
So he then becomes a raven and flies into Morath and finds an entry point and then becomes a little sneaky mouse and sneaks on in. He scuttles into Morath and ends up finding Erewhon, and he's just having like a casual meeting with his Tinder date. And plot twist that is made.
Yikes. Anyway, so Adi and the gang arrive in Orinth. Ansel is still very sad because of her dead peeps. But Ilias is there, and he is keeping her company. Silently keeping her company, though, of course.
He's so fucking hot, though.
So hot, such a little sweetie, and he's a badass.
You're telling me that if we had a hot man that couldn't talk, that would be a bad thing?
Yeah, true. Say that.
Yeah, you speak the truth.
Daryl and the other lords are waiting, and Daryl is like, Daryl?
Daryl. Hi, Daryl.
No, it's not Daryl. It's Darrow. Darrow is like, Adian, fuck off. And Adian's like, no. And then Rolf is introduced to the lords. And they say, we can thank the gods for that. Because, you know, Rolf came in and saved the day with his fire lancers. And Lysandra's like, actually, eat a fucking dick. But get this.
So she's like, Adian, drop your pants. He has a dick he needs.
He needs to eat a dick. And then
She shapeshifts into a dick.
Eat me!
One big...
Gets in his face. Eat me!
She was just one big flaccid penis just wobbling around.
That's how she walks. She wobbles. So, yeah, we get a quote. All of them came here because of Aelin, not you. So before you sneer that there is no Her Majesty's Armada, allow me to tell you that there is, and you are not a part of it. Murtagh. Is it Murtagh?
We always forget how to say his name. So Uncle Mur.
Uncle Mur says that he has someone to see Lysandra before things can get too heated. Evangeline is there, and Lysandra's like, alright, I'm gonna go get the little whore. They go and skedaddle.
Adian is like, Darrow, you absolute pedestrian piece of shit. Lysandra almost died for your people. Show some goddamn respect. And Darrow's like, meh. And the quote we get is, she's fought on the front lines at every battle, nearly died against her enemies. I didn't see any of you bothering to do the same. The group of old lords frowned with distaste, yet it was Darrow who shifted in his seat slightly, as if Adrian had struck upon a festering wound. To be too old to fight, Darrow said quietly, while younger men and women die is not as easy as you would think, Adrian. He glanced down to the nameless sword at Adrian's side. It is not easy at all.
Oh, cry me a river.
Off.
Yeah, anyone else I might have empathy for, but no, not for you, sir. You've done this to yourself because you told Aileen to go away when she could have gone to Terracin and fucking saved the world. But
Literally.
Exactly.
Literally.
no, we don't need it. Aideen then goes to find Lysandra and she's sitting in the throne room. She is sad because she won't ever be able to see Aelin sit on that throne.
Oh. So Dorian is dressed, which is surprising. Maeve and Erewhon are meeting. He's like, look, this isn't great.
Yikes.
This isn't good. I feel like the vibes might be somewhat iffy.
Yeah.
I'm also...
They had some grass to toss in the air, I could find out.
Yeah. Oh my god. I'm also beginning to get a little bit concerned about the fact that I just chucked, the 3 most sacred, dangerous weapons on
Well,
this
only
planet.
2. He's gone there for the 3rd. So.
Oh, 2, sorry.
2.
Yeah, 2. 2 out of 3 under just a rock. But anyway, we have no time for regrets. Sorry.
No time.
No regrets.
Maeve explains who she is, and Erewhon is not too happy initially, but she offers him her spiders, because why not? The plan is for him to take the spiders and put his princesses in them. So not great. Not ideal. Not ideal at all. Also, Dorian is just sort of chilling in the corner like some weird little beetle. Which I'm like, alright, okay then. Whatever floats your boat. I don't think I've ever seen Lysandra shift into anything smaller than a ghost leopard, but he's been a fly, he's been a mouse, he's now some weird type of dung beetle. So, yeah.
And everyone's like,
you, Dorian.
I don't have dung beetles in my castles. That's out of place.
Yeah.
Dorian's just
Someone
rolling
get the
a ball
Aragard.
of shit, being like,
Right. The eye contact.
It's like he's a mouse, but if he doesn't move, he can't see him, and it's just like the back leg just like slowly creeps backwards. It's like actually Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy. If I move so slowly,
I become
like invisible.
It's like that, but here's a beetle.
Yeah.
So they've decided they're going to work together because they're family. But unfortunately for everyone involved, Maeve can sense Dorian in his beetle form. And when she leaves Erewhon's company, she tells him to show himself. She picks him up. She just picks him up as a little beetle and she's like, naughty.
She's picked up a beetle, but it's not actually Dorian. She's yelling at this beetle, show yourself. And Dorian's in the corner, like, as another beetle. And he's like, God.
I'm sorry, friend. I'll take care of the children.
One of us had to be sacrificed. Dorian is caught. She's got him in handcuffs, tied him to a bed. She's ready to fucking roar.
Oh my god. As a beetle, I hope not.
She's got a weird She's a Lorcan with 8 legs. That's why she brings all the spiders over. They're just all of her whores.
Yeah, just a big orgy.
Have you ever been fucked by a spider with 8 legs?
That you've never
We
lived.
actually did come to fuck spiders.
She did.
She did. Anyway, fucking hell. Okay, so yes, Dorian is caught. He's ready to be fucked. Maeve is very amused by this. She's like, oh, you're wet.
Bugs can like squirt when they get a bit like anxious. That's him. He's just got.
I'm so sorry. It just came out. So, no. I'm sorry. It just came out. So, yeah, Dorian's wet. He shifts back into himself and they have a good chat. He shits himself. That's why he's so wet, actually. It's shit.
It's the dung.
It's the dung. Exactly. No, but they end up having a little chit chat while he's in his human form, and Maeve says that she and him want the same thing, to be fucked. Dorian offers her a marriage proposal. And we're all like,
Dorian's like, how do I get out of this situation? Well, you know what made me leave Manon?
yeah.
I honestly, when I first read this, I was like, Dorian, you have fallen in love with every woman you have ever looked at.
Every woman. It's taken one little fingering from Maeve, and he is crumbling.
He's crumbling so
no one
hard.
has made me accidentally shit myself.
No one.
In arousal.
No one has made me
super enthused.
this sopping wet. Anyway, we have this quote which is actually really cool and I actually really like it. Dorian says, I have knelt and found I have no interest in doing so again. Not for Erewhon or for Aelin or anyone. Another shrug. The woman I love is dead. My kingdom is in pieces. What do I have to lose? The quote goes on. Maeve fell silent again, and slowly those phantom hands crept into the corners of his mind. He let her see the truth she sought. He withstood it, that probing touch. That's why he's so wet. At last, Maeve loosed a breath through her nose. You came to Morath for a key, and will leave with a bride.
Yikes.
And a fucking loose asshole at this point, because he's getting fucked.
Look, he's pretty happy. All things considered, he's just like, look,
I'm here for a quick time, not a long time.
Yeah.
No, he is mortal. So they go hunting for the key. Dorian pretends to be Vernon and talks to Erewhon, which we're all terrified for him through this encounter.
Oh,
The fact that Erewhon
He's
couldn't
just
tell
busy.
when he was a beetle.
He's like, Vernon, I always thought you were a little bit of an insect, and now you're this fucking beetle, but okay.
He's like, you're talking you're spitting some weird facts, but
Yeah, he's like, when did you start asking all these fucking questions, you fucking nosy cunt? But it's true, because Dorian's asking him all these questions, you know, he's like, what are you planning to do with the keys? Why do you hate humans so much? Why don't you fuck Dorian in the ass?
Some of the questions, though, he was like, do you truly hate humans that much? And it's like,
Yeah.
leave while you're alive, sir.
Yeah.
Read the room.
It's like,
read the room.
Dorian was like, I need to check that there is no redemption arc available for you, sir.
It's because he wants him to fuck him.
It is. He's like,
Give me one reason. Give me one.
I've also fallen in love with you now.
Surprise. But all the answers we get, they're not shocking. He's a fucking piece of cunt. He's a piece of fucking shit.
A piece
He's
of
a piece
cunt.
of cunt.
A piece of cunt.
I swapped it because a cunt could also be a vagina, and vaginas are really great. So, a piece of shit.
A piece of shit. Shit's never great.
No.
It doesn't matter what way you slice it.
We all think Dorian's an idiot for having this whole confrontation with Erewhon, and Maeve also agrees with us.
We're then back with Nesrin and Sartak, and they're flying over the Ferian Gap, but where are the enemies? They are not there. And then we flash to Aelin and Kale, and the army is resting for the night. Kale and Gabriel have like this moment where Kale wishes that Gabriel was his daddy, but he is not.
It's a whole weird moment, isn't it?
It really is. You guys have just met. Like,
Yeah.
it's, okay.
Gabriel's like, I don't need that emotional attachment, thank you very much. I just want my son, Adian, to love me. We get this quote, which is, Gabriel said quietly, I shall endeavour to be worthy of my son. Nesrin appears and tells them all about the missing enemy, and everyone's a bit anxious. But then we're back with Dorian, and he's going looking for the key. He travels under Morath to Erewhon's tombs, and there's like hundreds of word stone collars, and he nearly gets lured in by the collars and trapped again, but Maeve ends up saving him, and he vomits. Maeve is like, okay, your plan is not working. Turns out you are quite basic. I'm going to actually take the lead in this one, and I'm going to try to seduce my brother-in-law.
Okay.
This whole chapter is big yikes for me. Maeve attempts to seduce Erewhon. She changes her skin, and she changes it to look like our lovely friend, Aelin.
No.
Big yikes. And then she changes it to look like Manon. And Dorian is like sitting, he's in his beetle form, sitting in the corner, and he is fucking reeling. Erewhon still is like, bitch, you are my sister, that's pretty fucked up. The only one in this book that thinks, no, that almost incest.
Yeah.
And they're not even blood related, so...
No, they're not.
No.
We find out that Manon may have been the queen that he was hoping to take after this war was over. That's great.
That's so good.
The next day, Erewhon and Maeve meet and they discuss the war. He wants her to bring all of her little Spidey whores from the other world.
Spidey whore. Spidey whore.
Spidey whore does whatever Spidey whore does. But she's like, no, I can't do that. But what I can do, you remember my husband and your other brother? I can actually show you them, like just like a quick snippet of them in the other world. Yeah, you want to FaceTime?
And will we leave Dorian the Beetle and Maeve trying to fuck her brother-in-law to go back to Alien, and he's feeling weird. He's back in Orinth now, but he's just thinking about Daddy. He's all torn up and wound up about Daddy Cat. And yeah, it's not great. He comes up with a plan for battle the next day, which, good on you, sir. He, Lysandra, the Silent Assassins, and the Mycenians begin to plant like traps underground, which so cool. Lysandra
It
turns
was actually
into
a good idea.
Yeah, it was. Lysandra turns into a giant badger, which I'm like also here for that, like a giant big cute raccoon.
Like a badger mole from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Okay, don't know what that is.
Okay, cool.
Okay, giant badger, and like she's just digging the holes for them, and then the rest are there to lay all the traps and then cover them. So good plan. And then the next morning, Morath begins marching their little legs, and they count 50,000, and then they count the 3 witch towers, and it's like, oh shit. Ren bellows an order, and the Silent Assassins shoot flaming arrows towards the traps that they'd planted, and they will explode. 2 of the towers go down, and it's brilliant. But one of them is still standing. As good as this moment is, it does still not stop the army, and now there's 100,000 enemies marching towards them, so not ideal. And then we jump back to Maeve, and she and Dorian are discussing the portals. She says that using mirrors, she can make a portal to the other world, not via Microsoft Teams. So screw you, Bill Gates, we've got our own technology.
Yeah,
we actually use Zoom.
We learn that she intends to show Erewhon an illusion of his brothers. Maeve meets with Erewhon and begins to open the portal, and Dorian shapeshifts into Erewhon so that if anyone enters the tower, they will find their master there. So clever thinking. He could have been a beetle, but he was like, no, I'm going to use my brain today. So Dorian grabs Damaris and then he steps through the portal that Maeve created, which that's a lot of trust.
Lot of trust in a giant cunt.
Dorian steps through the portal and inside the tower he finds nothing but a bedroom. Until he hears a noise. It is a young girl with dark hair. He looks like Caltain's twin. All we can think about is poor fucking Caltain. This girl is too thin, covered in bruises, and has the same kind of wound on her arm that Caltain did. So, okay, a word key is inside of her. And he's still pretending to be Erewhon, so he walks towards her and she has a collar on, but he tells her to lie down. And she does. Like, she's trembling, but she's complying, and you're like, fuck, what has this girl gone through? He basically uses his healing magic on her arm and cuts the word key out. And once he removes it, she jumps up and basically begs him to kill her. She's sobbing, telling him that his magic pushed the demon back. She's crying, begging him to end it. And he doesn't think he can. He cannot do a mercy kill in this scenario. He's sitting there trying to make up his stupid mind when boom, Maeve appears and snaps the girl's neck.
I just am like Dorian.
This really was the time to kill a girl. It really was.
Make her a headless hoe.
Make her a headless hoe. She needed that. There was no coming back for her. Maeve ends up ensnaring Dorian's mind with her magic.
God damn. Maeve's telling Dorian that she has many, many plans for his asshole.
Yeah.
Quote is...
She's like, we can use toys, I can use my fingers.
My fingers, my spider's legs.
Yeah.
You've ever been fucked by 8 legs?
Legs.
Shit. Good. The quote is, such things I have planned for us, Majesty, for our union. With the keys, I could keep you eternally young, and with your power, second to none, not even Aelin Galathinius, you will shield us from any who might try to return to this world again.
With your power, second to none, not even Aelin Galathinius? I'm sorry. Excuse me?
Big yikes. And it's also like, there's such a premise of you will shield us from any who might try to return to this world again. So it just keeps giving me this vibe that did this series end at 8 books? It should have gone to 15.
Why stop at double digits when you can keep going?
I like what you said though about like second to none, his power second to none. Like he may have raw power, which technically may be stronger than Aelin's, but he is a fucking man. He has no spine. None. He has no brain. He leaves important things under rocks.
Under rocks.
Yes. But then Dorian is like, surprise, bitch! Tricked ya.
Reverse.
Where's Aston Kutcher?
You've been punked.
You've been punked.
Ashton's actually the other beetle. He's been waiting this entire
He goes to Maeve. There's a camera over there.
You see that beetle in the corner? That's actually another camera. Though, this next book is actually one of my favourite Dorian moments where he does this reverse. I'm like,
I know.
I'm so proud of you. I take back all the negative things I just said about you getting fucked by spiders.
I think he would enjoy it, actually, getting fucked by spiders, so I will not take it back. I will hold it to him. He can get fucked by spiders.
You're holding space for him. And he's
I'm actually just holding his ass cheeks open. Turns out that he shifted into his own mind and trapped her within a trap.
It's so good.
We're all shocked. We get this interchange. Dorian says, I was a slave once. You didn't really think I'd allow myself to be so once again, did you? Maeve says, you will free me. Dorian says, you're old as the earth, and yet you thought I would truly fall for your offer. I'm surprised you fell for my trap. Maeve says, I will kill you for this. And Dorian says, not if I kill you first. You hurt my friend. It will not be so very difficult to end you for it. Maeve says, is this the king you wish to be? Torturing a helpless female? Dorian says, you are not helpless, and if I could, I would seal you in an iron box for eternity. The king I wish to be is the opposite of what you are, and there is only one witch who will be my queen.
Yes!
Except she won't be anymore because you gaslighted her and you left her by herself.
Let us have it, Ellie!
Also, we all have our tiniest violins out for Maeve as she's trying to say that she is just a... Then, all of a sudden, with Maeve's pleading, there is a giant boom. Dorian has
a giant man. He's just whacking his cock.
Smacking his cock into people.
I was going to say it's a giant Kong. But sure, playing whack-a-mole with people. Whack.
The slaves are trying to escape and he's like, not today. What happens in Morath stays in Morath. Dorian has used his ice magic to ruin the foundations of Morath, which is like, snaps for Dorian, snaps for Dorian. Maeve is begging him not to leave her for everyone to find, but Dorian is like, too fucking bad. And I'm a little bit angry that he didn't kill her.
Just yeet her. Kill her.
No. He shifts into a crow now and flies away. He left the servants' passageways so that they would be destroyed last, which good on you. And he's holding them up with his magic just for the giant random man with the penis to just whack him on the head as they're trying to leave. Brilliant.
As they're coming out of the tunnel, he's like, whack, whack. And Dorian's like, no! And the guy's like, you're next, bitch.
He gets all 3 word keys from that rock that he remembered. I'm glad he actually remembered which rock it was. And was like, oh, okay, yep. Imagine that. If he's just flown out, Morath's collapsing, he's like, yes, I've done my job. And then he's like,
fuck, the rock was it actually in there?
Oh, no, what rock? There's a lot of rocks here. He gets the word keys. And then, while he is still linked to Maeve's mind, he shatters the link, along with the link that she held to world walking. Which is good, but I'm also like, you should have just killed her.
He really needs to stop pulling these punches.
He does, but he does give us a really good quote, which is, world walker no longer. I suggest you invest in a good pair of shoes.
Beautiful.
He refuses to be a killer because he's a weak pussy. So he leaves her for Erawan's wrath and turns into a wyvern and flies away, watching Morath crumble as he does. And it's like, what a man. Like, he's done well, but I'm also left disappointed. So,
left Almanon felt when she woke up the next morning.
Yeah, what a surprise.
Irene and Elide are then helping a man who has suffered a cut and infection, and Irene is healing him, and while she's doing that, she offers to help Elide with her ankle. She's a multitasker. Like, Irene tells Elide that there are two paths, a total reconstruction of her ankle or basically a salve to help with the pain, but there will come a day when the salve doesn't help anymore. And Elide's like, well, maybe once we've dealt with this whole war situation, I will consider my options in terms of reconstructive surgery, but it seems like a bit ill-timed right now for me to be on bed rest.
She's like, actually, everyone, put this war on hold. My ankle, my fucked ankle, yeah, you know that one? It needs to be fixed.
I don't understand why this needed to be in the book. We all would have understood why Elide didn't approach a healer in the middle of a war. Like,
Yeah, okay.
we could have just had like a brief synopsis at the end of the book of like Elide then just walked hand in hand with Irene to go fix her ankle. We didn't need the explanation.
No.
It's fine. But then Vorte is there. Knock knock, Elide. Time to see your uncle, because they found Vernon in the Varian Gap.
Yikes. Elide goes to where they've kept him. Aelin, Rowan and Lorcan are there, and Vernon is in a cell. They want her final decision on what to do with him. She limps in, bless her heart, and Vernon is there.
Bless her cotton socks.
He's still a giant fucking cunt. And Lorcan has already broken his nose, which none of us are necessarily shocked about.
But I love
thought
it.
he would have killed him already, honestly. So he's done well. Lorcan's done well.
Lorcan's like, I swear I didn't kill him. It's just like, look, Vernon's dead. He's flopped there like a flesh sack. And Lorcan's like, no, see, he's fine. Just like lifts him up.
Lifts his head up, starts talking.
Hi.
Elide, oh my god, so nice to see you. Elide asks Vernon why, and he basically just tells her that he was jealous of her father.
Wow.
That's cool.
Good.
She tells him this: I do not care why you are here. I do not care what they plan to do with you, but I want you to know that once I walk from this room, I will never think of you again. Your name will be erased from Perrant, from Terrasen, from Ardalan. There will never be a whisper of you, nor any reminder. You will be forgotten. Everyone is like super shocked by this as well, but Elide is like, bye motherfucker, and Lorcan is so proud of her. It's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Aelin and the gang then decide to do it her way, which is not torture, so snaps for Aelin. Vernon is like, swear it. Swear that your companions won't kill me, and she's like, okay. And then Vernon tells Aelin that Maeve has come to Morath to unite with him being Erewhon, not him being Vernon, because no one wants to reunite with Vernon. Vernon explains that he was sent here by Erewhon for asking too many questions, which is like,
Good work, Jordan.
he doesn't know where Maeve's army is because it's not there, and that Maeve and Erewhon plan to head to Orinth to face Aelin, except Aelin's also not there. Oops. And also tells her that 100,000 soldiers march for Orinth, which is not ideal. Aelin tells him no one will kill him, that he will stay chained in this room until he dies. So it's like, play on words there. I see what you
And they
did. I
just
see what
gave
you
him
did.
like a giant pint.
Yeah.
He just had
He's
a
your
big
last
beer,
drink.
and now he's going to need a pee.
He is.
He's going to piss himself and
He's-
then die.
He's got all that
embarrassing.
yeast in his tummy with nothing to settle it. There's no carb to soak up that yeast. So
Sucked in.
she and Rowan end up talking, but, you know, she's a little bit scared that they're not going to get to Orinth in time. And so am I. I have been saying to go to Terrasen since before Aniel. I was like, fuck Kale and his people. Go to your people. But she's a better person than I am. But Rowan is like, we will face it together, fire. I was like, oh my god, Rowan. He would just need to say like a nickname to me and I'd be like,
Done.
do you want to have sex right now?
Pennies on the floor. Aideen and Ren are preparing for the battle ahead, and Ren tells him it would have been an honour to serve in this court with him. Aideen agrees, which is good because it'd be super awkward if he was like, actually, don't stress about it. It was pretty shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when he goes to bed, he notices Lysandra and like that Evangeline can't sleep. Aideen goes with Lysandra to talk to Evangeline, and we get this super beautiful moment. But just remember that this fear of yours, it means you have something worth fighting for, something you care so greatly for that losing it is the worst thing you can imagine. He pointed to the frost-covered windows. Those bastards out there on the plain, they have none of that. He laid his hand on hers and squeezed gently. They have nothing to fight for, and while we might not have their numbers, we do have something worth defending, and because of that, we can overcome our fear. We can fight against them to the very end, for our friends, for our family. He squeezed her hand again at that. For those we love. He dared to look up at Lysandra, whose green eyes were lined with silver. For those we love, we can rise above that fear. Remember that tomorrow, even if you throw up, even if you spend the whole night in the privy, remember that we have something to fight for, and it will always triumph.
I'm actually crying. I am literally crying. It's just
all I could think of as you were listing off all of the things I have to fight for, I was going to chime in, and the tiny snowhawks.
And the tiny snowhawks. I just love the little family unit that, like, Aiden and Lysandra and Evangeline have. I really like it. Lysandra wishes that she went after Aiden that night, but she didn't. She braids Evangeline's hair the next morning, and they prepare for battle. When they're going to get breakfast, Darrow asks to see them, and Lysandra is obviously pissed because he is a weasel, but Darrow offers Evangeline to be a messenger for him, so then that way she's not sitting around scared out of her wits watching her friends being slaughtered. And Lysandra is like, you would do this for the ward of a whore? And Darrow tells her that he is not so cruel, especially to children. Again,
to the rest of you, that you can fuck off and die. That's great. So Evangeline becomes his messenger. Great. Amazing. Lysandra heads on back out into the battlefield. Aiden, he's out there too. It's not all gravy, baby. A huge host of wyverns are approaching, and Lysandra is like, tell me what to do. Like, tell me where to go. I'll go there. We get this moment. Aiden kept his attention fixed on Lysandra. Please, I am begging you, Lysandra, to go. Her chin lifted. You are not asking our other allies to run, because I am not in love with our other allies. For a heartbeat, she blinked at him. Then her face crumpled, and Aiden only stared at her, unafraid of the words he'd spoken, only afraid of the dark mass that swept towards them, staying within formation above that endless army, afraid of what that legion would do to her, to Evangeline. I should have told you, Aiden said, voice breaking. Every day after I realized it, all these months, I should have told you every day. Lysandra began to cry as he brushed away her tears, yet Lysandra remained at his side, made no move to run. Please, he said to her. Lysandra only linked her fingers through his in silent answer and challenge. His heart cracked with the refusal at the hand, shaking and cold, that clung to his.
Oh,
God! And we're like, this is the end. Everyone's gonna die. But, surprise.
Grandmummy, it's me! The 13!
Grandmummy, it's me, Anastasia!
Manon approaches Aiden and Lysandra, and like Darrow runs out all in a panic, and he's like, we will not surrender. And Manon says, we came, Manon said, loud enough that all on the city walls could hear, to honour a promise made to Aelin Galathinius, to fight for what she promised us. Darrow said quietly, and what was that? Manon smiled then, a better world.
Oh, goosebumps.
5,000 Crocans have come to answer the call for aid.
I love every moment. I'm dying. Oh my God.
It is 5,000 Crocans against a fuck ton of Iron Teeth. But Manon's like, hands down, I would rather fly with you than with 10,000 Iron Teeth at my side. Tomorrow we will show them why. Her coven grinned, wicked and defiant, and touched 2 fingers to their brows in deference. Manon returned the gesture, bowing her head as she said, we are the 13 from now until the darkness claims us.
Oh.
This is fine. This is so fine. Morath totally halts its advance because they're so shooketh by how hot Manon is. They forgot. They haven't seen her in a hot minute and they were like, whoa, she's a vision. And Manon and her army say that they will take on the Iron Teeth, obviously. Morath basically take the day. They have a bit of a rest, have a long tea break, if you will. And so everyone else gets some rest. And Manon and the 13 ready themselves for battle the next day. While they're doing that, Manon is wondering what Dorian's doing because obviously he's not there.
He's getting fucked by spiders.
Yeah, he did in fact come to fuck spiders.
He did. So that night, Lysandra tucks Evangeline in and then wanders the hall until she finds Aiden. She tells him that she doesn't want him to die tomorrow and she is still thinking about what to do with his declaration of love. And we get this little moment. Lysandra pressed her lips together. Don't die tomorrow. That's all I ask. So you can have time to think about what you plan to do with my declaration? Precisely. Aiden's grin turned predatory. May I ask something of you then? I don't think you're in a position to make requests, but fine. That wolfish grin remained as he whispered in her ear, if I don't die tomorrow, may I kiss you when the day is done? Lysandra's face heated as she pulled back, yielding a step. She was a trained courtesan, gods above, highly trained, and yet the simple request reduced her knees to wobbling. She mastered herself, squaring her shoulders. If you don't die tomorrow, Aiden, then we'll talk and see what comes of it. Adian's wolfish grin didn't so much as falter. Until tomorrow night then. Lysandra walked from the hall, heart racing. Until tomorrow. I love it!
We're back with Dorian, and he has flown far and wide, and he finds a nice shady little spot, and he feels that it's safe. So he draws the word marks out to summon Gaza.
Gaza!
Dorian explains he wanted to give him a chance to say goodbye to Elena, which is very sweet of him. Like,
very generous, all things considering.
Yeah, also, we don't have time to dilly-dally, but okay.
But you know, Dorian could have actually dealt with the lock right there.
He really could have.
He could have actually just done it then. No one would have stopped him. No one would have been in the way. He would have had enough. He could have done it right there.
It's because he's a selfish prick.
It's weaponized incompetence. He's like, I don't know how to do this lock. Can you just show me how?
Yeah,
oh my god, it is. Wow. And if I didn't think I couldn't dislike that character more, now I just picture him as a tiny man-child.
Yeah. No, I love Dorian.
Like, I love Dorian.
He's a bit of a dickhead sometimes.
But that's just how culture has raised white men.
But look at me, I'm like, you know what, Rowan, punch me in the face. Do it.
Yeah.
Make me bleed. I'm okay with that. But Dorian, if you use that weaponized incompetence one more time around me... So the king knows that Dorian will not abandon Ardalan. And when he fades, there's a host of wyverns flying in the sky, and he's like, oh no. But he shifts, and then he sneaks into their formations like a tiny little dove, but wyvern.
It's tiny little wyvern whore.
Jesus.
Tiny little wyvern whore.
Manon and the Crocans and the 13 are getting ready for battle. Morath begins approaching Orinth. And we get this quote, which again, we're not sorry for the quotes. So they head into battle as they always had, with nothing but their blades, their iron teeth and nails, and their cunning. Manon asks Glenys if she intends to fight, and she says yes for her ancestors, and says that each person here has someone fighting beside them who is no longer alive. Manon looks to Astrid, and we get this moment where Astrid's gold-flecked black eyes softened a bit. Yes, was all Manon's second said, as her hand drifted to her abdomen, not in memory of the hateful word branded there of what had been done to her, but in memory of the stillborn witchling who'd been thrown by Manon's grandmother into the fire before Astrid had a chance to hold her. In memory of the hunter whom Astrid had loved, as no iron teeth had ever loved a man, and had never gone back to for shame and fear. The hunter who had never stopped waiting for her to return, even when he was an old man. For them, for the family she had lost, Manon knew her second would fight today, so it might never happen again. Manon would fight today to make sure it never did too. Because friends support friends, ending generational trauma.
Yes, they do. But also, if I ever die and Lockie remarries, oh, no.
Oh, we've already established. He's a single man for the rest of his life if you die.
He's widowed forever.
We'll cut off his dick to ensure it.
Thank you. He needs to be waiting out on that veranda for me to return, even if he knows I'm
We'll
dead.
put him out there, and we'll actually break his legs, and we'll wheel him out there in a wheelchair every day. Be like, wait here. Are you talking to a ghost? We don't hear you.
Meanwhile, you're raising my children, and they've become terrifying.
Lysandra and some of the Bane soldiers are heading towards these ancient tunnels in Orinth that hold rivers that directly flow from under the mountain ranges, and she shifts and swims directly under the army without them knowing, and then awaits her signal. Adian is ready on the castle walls, arrow knocked with the Bane, as he says, let's make this fight worthy of a song.
It's fucking on. So the Crocans and the 13 are the first ones to begin the war. It's all out fucking chaos. Wyverns, fucking red
Brooms.
things. It's fucked. They're actually just sweeping on the floor really fast.
The wyverns are pissing everywhere. As the Crocans just
Like, you can't work this quickly.
And then we're in Lysandra's POV, and she's in her sea dragon form. She's pulling Crocans from the river where she can until she hears the horn of her unleashing, and launches herself out of the water right into Morath's eastern flank, and she just starts fucking shit up. Like, she's ripping people apart with her bare teeth.
She's like a river dragon, but it's white and it's got the fucking spider silk scales.
She's fully just made a whole...
Yeah, she was like, I like this and I like this, and now it's this.
She tears apart a bunch of shoulders.
She's had it with those AC joints.
She just comes up, she's like, I actually have a thing for shoulders. Everyone
specifically.
I don't
Arms
know.
up.
Yeah. She tears apart a bunch of soldiers and then goes back under. She swims as fast as she can and then jumps out at another location and starts just ripping their shoulders too. Then in Adian's POV, and the soldiers are in the brunt of battle. Fire lances are going off and like they're mainly focused on the gates of the city where they're basically like Morath is just full on focusing, trying to break through that gate. Adian and the others are fighting off the siege ladders and they're firing catapults with flaming boulders towards the enemy. Just flaming piles of shit. They're just...
They're like, we all ate a curry last night and shat in this catapult ready for you, sir.
Ready for you.
Brony's had a coffee.
Yeah.
She's prepped.
I was so useful. I was so useful.
Brony was at her peak. So, when the army finally starts making it up the siege ladders, Adian comes face to face with a vagina prince.
Yikes.
What is this?
Whoa!
Adian.
Whoa!
Oh.
I've never
Stop
encountered
talking.
one of these before.
Yeah.
Why is it talking? You're making that noise.
Smells vaguely of fish, and he's like, oh, God. Oh, it's got like some form of yeast infection. Oh.
Again, can't wash itself because it's so
No.
large.
It's so big. It's got thrush. It's all sorts of things. Adian tells the other soldiers to focus on the ladders while he and the Vag fight one-on-one. The Valg's power keeps bouncing off his shield. Interesting. Quote, Rose shield. There was no magic in it. Brannon had never borne it, but one of them had forged it. One of the unbroken line of kings and queens who had come after him, who had loved their kingdom more than their own lives, who had carried this shield into battle, into war, to defend Terrasen. And as Adian and the Valg prince fought along the walls, as the ancient shield refused to yield, he wondered if there was a different sort of power in the metal, one that the Valg could never and would never understand. Not true magic, not as Brannon and Aelin had, but something just as stronger, that the Valg might never break, no matter how they tried. Also unsure of the relevance here, but there you go.
We'll find out.
Remains to be seen, Okay, but then the Valg stabs Adian. Oh no, the Valg is almost on him, but then Ren is there, and he's shooting an arrow through the Valg's neck, and then unleashes a fire lance on it, which is like, Jesus Christ, hello Vin Diesel, like that was a lot.
Oh my god,
And
Vin
then-
Diesel.
Adian passes out.
Next, we're in Evangeline's POV. She's taking messages between Darrow and Killian, the new Bane leader that replaced Adian.
Which is actually Adian's ex as well.
Oh my god. See?
I didn't get that at all.
So Killian is one of the other commanders in the Bane, and Adian and him have had a thing. It's been casual, and then when Adian's not talking to Lysandra and he goes off to Killian's tent, Lysandra wonders if he's going there for more than just like friendship. Because they have that history. Because Adian is a bisexual man.
I wonder if they did, when he was so rude to the tiny snow whore.
So this one says that basically Adian is injured and that there is a healer working on him. So Evangeline gets that message. And we get this moment. She had never had a brother or a father. She hadn't yet decided which one she would like Adian to be. And if he was so injured that it warranted a message to Darrow, she pressed a hand to her stomach, trying to contain the bile that burned her throat.
Oh, darling.
Screaming, crying.
Aelin and the gang are 10 days from Orin. Rowan is getting tattooed, but he's also tattooing Aelin, and oh my god. It's a new tattoo, but it's also similar to the last one. But it's adding like the story of them, and we die. They're near Endovia, and Aelin decides that she just wants to leave it behind. She doesn't want to burn it or destroy it, just wants to forget. Elide has been working with Irene all day, and she comes back to the tent with Lorcan, and she's like, gosh, I've just been working so hard. And Lorcan's like, I would love to give you a kinky foot rub right now.
I thought you were going to say Gobby.
Look, if he goes, he might go there, but we wouldn't know.
True.
So, the quote we get is, a rustle of clothing, and then Lorcan was kneeling before her, Elide's foot in his hands, nearly swallowed by his hands, actually. Let me, he offered. Elide was stunned enough that she indeed let him take the tin from her grip and watched in silence as Lorcan dipped his fingers into the ointment, then began rubbing it into her ankle. His thumb met the spot on her ankle where bone ground against bone. Elide let out a groan. He carefully, with near reverence it seemed, began easing the ache away. These hands had slaughtered their way across kingdoms, bore the faint scars to prove it, and yet he held her foot as if it were a small bird, as if it were something holy.
A small bird.
Small bird.
A holy small bird.
We then have kinky bath time.
Oh yes, my favourite part.
She gets him to help her undress, and he loses his mind over her baps, we all do. And then, help me get in the bath, daddy, is the vibes.
Yes.
She knew he could hear her heart as it began racing, could likely scent every emotion on her, but she said, I need help getting into the bath. Do you now? His voice was near guttural. Elide bit her lip, her breast becoming heavy, tingling.
Oh.
I might slip. His eyes drifted down her body, but he made no move. A dangerous time, bath time.
My God, it's like a bad porno. Minus the porn.
Then, things are picking up. The porn is kicking on, actually. And she says, I don't know what I'm doing. Anything you do will be enough. Which, as we know, that's one of my favourite fucking lines you can ever have. She lifted her head, scanning his face. Enough for what? Another half smile. Enough to please me. Then they're fucking. Well, they're not there yet. Again, we don't know. Home. With him. This was home as she had never had, for however long they might share it. And when Lorcan laid her out on the cot, his breathing as uneven as her own, when he paused, letting her decide what to do, where to take this, Elide kissed him again and whispered, show me everything. So Lorcan did. Sarah. So Lorcan did. What did he do? It's been years, and I don't know.
He did a tap dance. He's like, okay.
Yeah. He did a tap dance. He tapped out some morse code on her vagina.
He did.
The vibes are not iffy anymore.
I have uniffied the vibes. The most sexual thing in that.
He's got a pube, thrown it up in the air. The wind captures it. Good.
We're all good. We're all good boys. No, the most sexual thing in that whole part was dipping his fingers in the salve and rubbing it bone on her ankle. Like,
yeah, that was pretty hot.
Dangerous time, bath time.
Dangerous time, bath time.
Aylin is still having bad nightmares, and we all are after that atrocious bath scene. Bad dreams, we're sad. Rowan has tattooed hawk wings on her back. Beautiful. She's very happy with her new tattoo. Also great. Her and Elide start to have a chat about their time as slaves.
Sick.
Because Elide was also a slave. Yeah. Fuck it up.
Sick.
So, as Elide was a slave in the tower, and Aylin was a slave in Endovian. Then, wyvern. But no, wait, not wyvern. Dorian. Hello, sir. And the word keys. Even better.
He just pops on up.
Because it's like it's the next day, they're riding along, the army's just chilling, and then they're like, oh my God, look at this thing coming towards us. Oh shit. And then Dorian just like, boom, into the ground in front of the entire army. Very casual.
And then we jump straight from that humorous moment of Dorian face planting in wyvern form in front of everyone.
He's like, I'm alright.
Good. Everyone's like, no one asked.
Yeah.
Lorcan's like, no one asked. No one asked.
But he's still in the tent.
He's still got that foot in his hand. He's just carrying around Elide's foot.
He's actually just carrying her around by the ankle, just being like, look at this bitch. Look at my queen.
Look at this little bitch I've got.
Look at this. Look at my little bitch.
We jump from that moment to Adian being in pain. So that's good.
Oh,
good.
But on a positive note, he is alive. So that's good. He wishes that his daddy was there, though. So that's sad.
Oh, baby.
He sees Lysandra from the ground fighting in sea dragon form, and she's trying to signal the others that her entryway has basically now shown Mora that there is another way into the city. Not good. It's underneath them, obviously, in the water.
It's the back hole, if you will.
It is. It's the arse. It's the anal with no lubricant. Lysandra can't hold them all off. She's trying, but she's just one sea dragon thing. Adian shouts orders to help. Manon sees the signal, but as she goes to leave, Issa cunt is there, and her wyvern bites down on Abraxas's throat. We're all collectively screaming. All collectively screaming. We get this moment, right? Okay, it's all good. It's all great. It's great. Iskra's bull grabbed him by the neck, but Abraxas kept them in the air. At the sight of those powerful jaws around Abraxas's throat, the fear and pain in his eyes, Manon couldn't breathe, couldn't think around the terror rushing through her, so blinding and sickening that for a few heartbeats she was frozen. Wholly frozen. Abraxas. Hers. He was hers, and she was his, and the darkness had chosen them to be together.
Oh my god.
Fuck my life. It's all downhill from here, okay? Iskra is laughing like a fucking psychotic cunt, and Manon is sobbing, alright? Abraxas is falling, and we get another moment. Fuck off if you don't like quotes. Go somewhere else, alright?
Yeah, how do we paraphrase this, guys? How do we paraphrase it?
Literally, alright? You get the whole scene. Okay. Abraxas began to fall. Not fall, but dive, trying to get lower, to reach the ground, hauling that ball with him so Manon might survive. Please, her scream to Iskra carried across the battlefield, across the world. Please. She would beg. She would crawl if it brought him the chance to live, her warrior-hearted mount, who had saved her far more than she had ever saved him, who had saved her in the ways that counted most. Please, she screamed it with every scrap of her shredded soul. Iskra only laughed, and the bull did not let go, even as Abraxas tried and tried to get them closer to the ground. Just literal tears. I'm sobbing.
As I said, I could deal with any death in this book apart from Abraxas and Rowan.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few, but Abraxas mainly. She tells him she loves him right before she's about to leap from her saddle and into Iskra, but Petra is there, and the Blue Bloods, and they're fighting against the Iron Teeth. Oh my god, her little pep rally speech worked. Petra fights and manages to kill Iskra in some amazing move, where her wyvern, circles Iskra's so tightly and, so consistently that it can't open its wings and then, plummet to the ground. And then, it's like he's playing chicken. Because right as they're about to, hit the ground, Petra's wyvern's psych, and flies away. It's great. It's good. But Abraxas barely makes it back to the castle. He's not in a good way. He collapses when he gets there, and Sorrel goes to find a healer. Manon and the 13 hold their hands on Abraxas's neck, waiting for the healer, and we're all just crying at this point. Alessandra then shifts to find an injured Adian. She whistles Manon and the others over and asks them if Abraxas will live, which she says yes. So thank God, the weight on my chest has lifted momentarily. She tells them that the witch tower is back up. Before she can even finish that sentence, boom, it's that really weird guy with the big dick again on the gong.
Giant dick on the gong. He just rocks up, just starts whacking all of the
people.
armies. He doesn't care. He's not on any side. He hates them all. Get rid of them.
He hates everyone. Okay. The witch tower has erupted onto the witches fighting above them, and ash is all that remains, which is fitting given the title of the book.
Are you guys ready for this?
No.
Brace yourselves. So Manon is like, get me a wyvern and we can break apart the Iron Teeth forces and get to that tower. We can do it. She's like begging. The 13 are like, no. They all looked at one another like they'd had some unspoken conversation and agreement. The 13 stalked towards their mounts. Sorrel clasped Manon's shoulder as she passed, then climbed onto her wyvern's back, leaving Astrid before Manon. Her second, her cousin, her friend, smiled, eyes bright as stars. Live, Manon. Manon blinked. Astrid smiled wider, kissed Manon's brow, and whispered again, live. Manon didn't see the blow coming. The punch to her gut, so hard and precise that it knocked the wind from her, sent her to her knees. She was struggling to get her breath down, to get up, when Astrid reached Nareen and mounted the blue mare, gathering the reins. Bring our people home, Manon. Manon knew then what they were going to do. Her legs failed her, her body failed her as she tried to get up to her feet, as she rasped no, but Astrid and the 13 were already in the skies. The 13 basically slam through the Iron Teeth towards that tower, and they go down swinging. Imogen went down first, then Lynn, and Ghislaine, her wyvern swarmed by their enemy. Then Thea and Kaya together, as they always had been. Then the green-eyed demon twins laughing as they went. Then the shadows, Edda and Briar, arrows still firing, still finding their marks. Then Vesta, roaring her defiance to the skies. And then Sorrel, who held the way open for Astron, a solid wall for Manon's second as she soared in, a wall against whom the waves of Iron Teeth broke and broke. And then Astron was there. Astron was barreling towards that open stretch of air, for the tower itself bought with the lives of the 13, with their final stand.
I can't even.
Oh my god.
I can't
It's
even.
too much.
So, Astron lands in the tower and she fights her...
She's pulled her shirt off. She's not
Oh, that's
naked.
right. I was going to say, why is
Butt-ass
it she's
naked.
naked here?
She's pulled her shirt off and she's like, check this out.
Check out
You remember
these
this?
tits.
You remember this?
No, so she fights her way through the tower until this moment. Are you fucking ready? I'm not. I'm
No.
not okay. Unclean. Twirling, twisting, blades flying, Astron slaughtered her way toward Manon's grandmother. The High Witch of the Black-Beak clan backed away, shaking her head. Her mouth moved as if she breathed, Astron, no. But Astron was already there, and it was not darkness, but light. Light, bright and pure as the sun on snow that erupted from Astron. Light as Astron made the yielding. As the 13, their broken bodies scattered around the tower in a near circle, made the yielding as well. Light, they all burned with it, radiated it. Light that flowed from their souls, their fierce hearts as they gave themselves over to that power, became incandescent with it. Astron tackled the Black-Beak matron to the ground, Manon's grandmother little more than a shadow against the brightness, then little more than a scrap of hate and memory as Astron exploded, as she and the 13 yielded completely and blew themselves and the witch tower to smithereens.
Yikes. Yeah, smithereens.
Christ.
Fuck it up.
Did you see this coming, Ellie?
Did not see that amount of death. That's
Yeah.
a lot.
The entire 13.
Oh yeah,
I
where's all your
just-
shots?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, look, I'm not doing the 13 shots, but just know the intention was there before I got heartburn.
Before she became a little colicky baby.
Or as someone else
Okay.
might say, a little bitch.
All right. So Manon wakes after sinking to her knees after seeing her family die and falling asleep. Abraxos has his wing over her because he's just
He's lost his mate.
He has lost his mate. Oh, he's a little buttercup. They walk towards the battlefields where Morath had now pulled back from, and Manon hits where the tower was and falls to her knees and sobs as we all do. And then everyone is there with white flowers and stones and all of the rest of it. And the battlefield is looking like a garden. And we have another quote. Glenna stayed until the end, and when they were alone on the silent battlefield, Manon's great-grandmother put a hand on her shoulder and said quietly, her voice somewhat distant, "Be the bridge, be the light. When iron melts, when flowers spring from fields of blood, let the land be witness and return home." Manon didn't hear the words, didn't notice when even Glennis returned to the city looming at her back. For hours, Manon knelt on the battlefield, Abraxos at her side, as if she might stay with them, her 13, for a little while longer. And far away across the snow-covered mountains, on a barren plain before the ruins of a once great city, a flower began to bloom.
God damn it.
So we've left Orinth behind and we're back with Dorian, who's, obviously just slammed in front of Aelin and the army and is like, what's up? We get this moment where the world went quiet, the approaching rider halted, another, a beautiful woman Dorian could only describe as golden, right behind. But Dorian stared at the rider before him, at the posture of the body, the commanding seat he possessed, and as Cale Westfall dismounted and ran the last few feet towards Dorian, the king of Ardenland wept.
Oh, God.
Oh.
So Dorian gets introduced to his replacement. The woman responsible for this, Cale said, motioning to his standing, his walking, to the arming stretching it down the road. Irene Towers, a healer of the Torre Renesmee, and my wife. Irene bowed, and Cale could have sworn a flicker of sorrow darkened Dorian's eyes. But then his king was taking Irene's hands, lifting her from her bow.
Bow.
Oh, yeah, lifting her from her bow. Cool. She's bowing.
He just yanks the bow out of her hair.
And though that sorrow still edged his smile, Dorian said to her, thank you. And aka Dorian's sad because he's actually been imagining that Manon was Kale this entire time, but here we are.
Poor sausage. We find out that not all of the Wyvern host is at Morathia. Aelin puts a vote out on Facebook Messenger as to whether they destroy the keys and Erewhon now with her as the sacrifice, or option 2, they keep marching northward and try to win this battle. And I'm like, I'm sorry, a fucking vote? Rowan's not pleased. I am not pleased.
None of us are pleased.
None of us are pleased, but you know who is? Kale. Kale.
Fucking Kale.
Dorian is like, I should do it. But then Aelin and Kale say, no. Kale, no one asked you. I mean, Aelin did, but no one else did.
No.
Now is not the time.
Yeah, shut the fuck up, Kale.
Look, Aelin asked him to vote, and there's actually the three of us standing there being like, don't you fucking put your hands up.
Don't you fucking do anything.
It's called voter intimidation. We let the Republicans.
Okay. Aelin forces them to vote. She says it's either I die now or later. It's your choice. It's like, Aelin.
Wow.
She's so bleak. She's just like, look, it's either now or later. They end up voting, and they vote for now. Rowan is the last to vote, and he says, no, not now, not ever. He is truly killing.
He's like, actually,
I will not be lectured on the death of my mate. Not now, not ever.
Not ever. By this man. That needs a Julia Gillard moment.
Yeah.
Rowan just puts on a little red wig, and he is like, hang on.
Wipe his hair back.
And yes, so he's like, no. And I physically hear, like, my heart break in this very moment. Are you ready? Her eyes were cold, distant, the way they'd been in Mistwood. It's decided then, Kale said quietly, sadly. At dawn, the lock will be forged and the keys go back into the gate. Dorian finished. Rowan just stared and stared at his mate, his reason for breathing. Elide asked softly, what is your vote, Aelin? Aelin tore her eyes from Rowan, and he felt the absence of that stare like a frozen wind as she said, it doesn't matter.
Elide is the only person that asks what was Aelin's vote.
Yeah. Oh no.
No one
else. The
else.
rest of them are cunts.
Yeah.
Apart from Rowan. But,
Next chapter, Mum and Dad are fighting, and Aelin is like, too fucking bad, Rowan. But Rowan is not having it. We get this quote. Aelin didn't say that asking them to vote hadn't just been about letting them decide, as free peoples of the world, how to seal its fate. She didn't say that it had also been a coward's thing to do, to let someone else decide for her, to choose the road ahead. Yikes. Rowan is basically begging Aelin not to go through with this, but she's like, it's just a little too late.
Oh, not the time for Jojo.
Oh my god, not Jojo.
So sorry. Rowan asks her if her and Dorian can do it together and only give the lock half of each of them rather than a whole of one of them. And she says that she doesn't know if it's going to work. And we get this moment. Rowan fell to his knees before her, putting his head in her lap as his arms wrapped around her waist. I can't bear it, Aelin. I can't. She threaded her fingers through his hair. I wanted that 1,000 years with you, she said softly. I wanted to have children with you. I wanted to go into the afterworld together. Crying, screaming, sobbing. But in this moment, I think she realizes that any possibility is better than none. Even though Aelin is always going to be a giver. She's always going to be the person that will choose to sacrifice herself over everyone else. Like, she will, if it's between her and someone else, it'll always be her being sacrificed.
Yeah.
But Rowan finally convinces her that approaching Dorian, just putting the vibe out there, seeing if it's iffy or not, is, that's it. So Aelin approaches Dorian in the dead of night and asks him if he will attempt to do it together. Dorian, of course, is like, absolutely yes.
He says that because we're actually standing in the corner being like, fucking say.
Fucking say.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dorian obviously says yes, and he knows what it would have taken to get Aelin to even consider to approach him. But he basically is like, if I'm going, I want my boyfriend there with me. So.
Fuck you, Cal.
Yeah, fuck off, Gale.
And that is where we are leaving part 3 of Kingdom of Ash. We'll pick up with our final episode of the year, the final episode of the Throne of Glass series, part 4 of Kingdom of Ash, which is chapters 93 onwards. That will be next week's episode. Before we leave today, do we have a musical reference?
Oh, look, I was just going to say Story of Us by Taylor Swift because you said that the tattoo is now about the story of us. So
I'll take it.
That's it.
I will take it. We're starting up with fan art for Kingdom of Ash Part 3. We are starting with Starscrapers, which is Aiden and Lysandra. It's all green with like a snowy vibe. Then we've got by Paintfaery, we've got Aston, and she's kind of got like a red glow to her paint. And then we've got a Lorcan, aka Elides and Lorcan, when they're like about to find out what Lorcan did, but we don't, by Dominiquewesson, who is obviously one of the all-time greats. Then we have by Mellendraws. This really, it's a gorgeous cutesy style that rips your heart out when you realise what's happening, and it is Aston and Manon. And Aston's just saying like 2 words to Manon. Yeah, and it's so fun. So then we've got Dianadworak, which is the 13, and then we've got Nabooksart, which is Manon's eyes, which
I fucking love.
Gorgeous. Then we've got by Tloczuss, Manon after the 13, yeet the chat. Thanks for that one, Georgia.
So
and then it gets better because you go to the next one, and that is Isabellamhsmith, which is also Manon after 13, yeet. Both of those are like Manon sitting in the field where in their ashes, just vibing. And then we've got Emilia.mildner, which is kind of like Sleepy a Lorcan after whatever the fuck he did. Well, that is all of our fan art and music references for Part 3 of Kingdom of Ash. Next week, we will be back, like I said, for the final episode of the year. Final episode of Throne of Glass. So please join us for that. Please remember to like, follow, and subscribe on all of the things. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Remember to give us a good rating wherever you're listening, like Spotify. That would be really, really nice if you could. And yeah.
Okay.
Peace out, A-Town.
Peace out.
Bye.